Okay, welcome back to the channel. Today we're fishing right in the centre of Edinburgh. I was hoping to get some underwater footage today, but unfortunately the sea is, as you can see, quite rough. So instead, I'm just going to use my normal gear, fish properly, and oh, what have we got here? Oh my god. I literally just cast this out just to see if my lead would stick, and we've hooked into a tiny little pollock. Okay, so I'm just going to throw this in here while I'm editing. Throughout this video I'm going to call basically every fish I catch a pollock. I'm awful at distinguishing between the white fish, like pollock, haddock, whiting, on the fly without looking really closely at the fish. Looking at this fish now while I'm in editing, I'm noticing a less protruded lower jaw and a flatter tail, which makes me think it's probably more likely a whiting. If there's anyone watching that's good at IDing the various species of whitefish that's caught in the video, then just drop a comment and let me know what you're seeing. Wow, okay, so like I say, today fishing right in the centre of Edinburgh. Not somewhere I've fished before. Again, I'm trying to try new places when I'm coming out with the camera. If it calms down, I'll try and get out a camera rod and see if we can get some decent underwater footage. I got some interesting footage from further down the coast earlier this week, so but I didn't set the camera up brilliantly, so it sort of floated in the air, so we didn't get a lot of like on the ground footage. It was all when I was reeling in and you could see fish attacking the baits. So anyway, there's fish out there, so I'm going to get some more baits in the water. Okay, so just to talk about what we're using today, I didn't bring a lot because I was coming down here to get some underwater footage, so I've only brought one rod. So I'm using a pulley rig, got a grip lead on because the sea is pretty rough, so I do want to try and hold bottom. There are some snags like 5-10 feet out, so just need to be careful when we get close in. Very windy and the sea's fairly rough, so reasonably difficult to tell when we're getting bites, especially if it's these small fish. I think I'm going to bring this in just to tiny little knocks. It could be another tiny little pollock. Feels like there's a fish. Nope. Taking a bit. Tighten my drag. Wasn't expecting that. Could just be a big bit of weed that's been caught on the line and now we're dragging it through. Oh, it feels. Oh yeah, same again. Oh, but this time there's two of them. I mean, it's good to know that the fish stock's out there, but yeah, not what we're after. Just to show you the size of baits I'm using, so you know they are decent strips of mackerel. They're not tiny. I wouldn't really be expecting little pollock like that to be munching on these, but what's possibly happening is they're out there in shoals, and they're all picking at it, and you know, one of the fish is just unlucky and gets itself caught. I suspect that is what's happening. Anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm going to rebait one more time here. I've crushed the barbs. I'm going to rebait one more time like this, and if we get pestered again, if we get another catch, or if we don't catch anything, if the sea's looking okay now and the wind's died down, I'm going to get a camera rod out there. Yeah, we'll get a camera rod out. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. Yeah, I don't know. We'll work it out. Okay, we're going to get this camera out. I've had to MacGyver it a little bit because yeah, it was going to float up otherwise and not really show the bottom, so we'll see if this works. It's always this moment where you need to trust your knots. Okay, so we're doing a little bit of live commentary here. So yep, just cast that out for the first time at this location, and I had to set up the camera a little bit differently to previous attempts. I'd went out the day before to an area just further up the coast, and because of the lead being at the back of the camera, the actual lens got pointed up towards the surface of the water, so you couldn't really see anything on the bottom. But this time it seems to have worked well. The lead, I put a lead at the front just to bring the lens down, and you can see immediately as soon as the bait hits the water, there's a shoal of what looked like whiting or pollock, immediately interested in the bait and the camera actually. You can also see, although it's a little bit more difficult In the foreground there's small fry that are swimming around as well. And later on we'll see a few more species of fish and crustaceans. And this is why I love this camera, because without this, you just don't know what's out there. And okay, so right now I can see that the bait's been taken off screen, but yeah, I mean, definitely it's lively, and this is sort of an innocuous part of the coast. There isn't really any features that you can see, but there's plenty of fish out there. Okay, so hopefully there was some decent underwater footage there. I don't know, obviously, because I've not seen it yet. I have moved up onto the harbour. This is where I wanted to fish initially, but there was a couple of guys here, so I didn't want to disturb them. It is quite a touristy spot as well, so I'll need to either stop recording or just accept that people will think I'm mad. I'm standing behind the tower here because it sort of keeps me out the wind, although not entirely. Had a couple of knocks on the rod here. We'll come over here, you won't be able to hear me very well, but yeah, we've had a couple of knocks on the road here. This is where I got some decent footage yesterday, but unfortunately the camera wasn't weighted properly, so it started floating and we didn't get all of the shots that I wanted. But hopefully today it's a little bit better. Like I said, I did get a couple of knocks earlier, and now with the benefit of the underwater camera we can actually see what was causing those knocks. So you can see here, just after I cast out at the harbour, there's a shoal of pollock or whiting or something like that immediately swarming the bait. I mean, they're absolutely going at that thing, so it's no wonder I was seeing little knocks on the top of the rod. Wind's died down a little bit. I don't know if you can see, the rod was twitching just a little bit, tiny. And I think that is probably the shoal of fish that I was seeing yesterday, or something similar, just picking at the baits. So at this point I started seeing heavier knocks on the rod tip, and I'm fairly certain that was this guy here. You can see him coming into shot, this tank of a lobster. So he just comes steaming in on top of the bait, which is just over on the left hand side of the screen. You can't see it. And actually, if in a second I'll switch the footage to a few moments later. So at this point I've moved the camera, just I was feeling some knocks, so I tried to strike and didn't catch anything. But you can see here the bait's moved and this lobster comes steaming back into frame. He actually grabs the camera there and swings it round entirely. So he doesn't even seem interested in the bait. He's going for the camera. I'm saying he, I have no idea if it's a male or a female lobster. But you can see here he's got a hold of the camera and it's going to swing it round. And clearly I'm not sure if this is a territorial thing or if it actually thinks that the camera is food. But either way, it's definitely interested in it, which is really interesting. Shortly after that, I reeled in and put some more bait on, cast back out again, and immediately got some interest from that shoal of pollock or whiting or whatever they are, and hooked into one of the smaller ones, unfortunately. Okay, just reeled in, just tiny little fish. Almost. Okay, well I think we're going to call it a day soon. Hopefully I got some decent underwater footage. Hopefully, I'm hopeful. I definitely got some usable footage yesterday, so we'll kind of do a combination video of underwater footage from yesterday plus the footage, the chest cam footage today, plus underwater footage from today, and hopefully altogether we get a sort of usable video. So before the video finishes up, I want to show you this footage which was super frustrating when I watched it back later, and it actually happened to me the prior day as well. So I'll show this first in real time and then I'll do it in slow-mo later. But as you can see, this is me reeling in my bait that's been picked at by the little fish, and as I'm reeling it in, it's getting there's a couple of what look like gurnards having a go at it. Now I didn't even feel them while I was reeling in. It was only after I looked at the footage once I'd got back to my house, and I was going through it and having a look to see what was interesting, and I could see these, it looks like maybe 2 or 3 gurnards as I was reeling in my bait coming up and actually having a go at it. And obviously I didn't even feel them, I didn't even try and strike, but you can see they actually have the bait in their mouth at one point, so I must have been very close to hooking into one. Now what I'm going to show you is some footage from the prior day when almost exactly the same thing happened, but in this instance it was a mackerel in the first instance, which comes up and sort of takes a flyby at my bait, and again it looks like it's going to go for it and just doesn't quite get hooked into. And then later in the session there was a small flatfish that as I was reeling in looked like it took some interest in my bait. So it just goes to show you that, you know, I'm not spinning, I'm not throwing feathers here, but it just goes to show that even if you're just reeling in your line with a couple of little bits of mackerel skin on it, there are fish that are interested. So that's maybe a lesson for me, not to reel in so quickly, and maybe I'll actually feel those bites and be able to strike. So yeah, unless we hook into something interesting in the next 5-10 minutes while I'm packing up, thank you very much for joining me.